Let's look at the second part of the story. He then said that while he was about it, he would see to the chain for me, and at once began taking off the gear case. I did try to dissuade him from that. I told him what an experienced friend of mine once said to me solemnly: if anything goes wrong with your gear case, sell the machine and buy a new one. It comes cheaper. So the man then said, while he was locating the problem of the machine, he would examine chain for the author, and immediately he took off the gear case. The author tried to stop him. Dissuade him means discourage him or try to prevent him from taking off the gear case. He also told that one of his friends had told him solemnly means seriously, that if anything goes wrong with the gear case, then it's better to sell the machine rather than repairing the gear case. That's cheaper than repairing the gear case. He said, people talk like that who understand nothing about machines. Nothing is easier than taking off a gear case. But the man disagreed with that statement. He said that it's those who don't know anything about the machine speaks in that way. There is nothing easier than taking off the gear case. I had to confess he was right. In less than 5 minutes, he had the gear case in 2 pieces lying on the path and was groveling for screws. He said it was always a mystery to him the way screws disappeared. Now, after saying this, immediately he took off the gear case. The author had to agree with this statement. By the time he took off the gear case and it was lying on the path, there also the screws disappeared. He was crawling or groveling on the ground for the screws. And he commented that it was always a mystery for him where all these screws disappeared. Common sense continued to whisper to me, stop him before he does any more mischief. You have a right to protect your own property from the ravages of a lunatic. Take him by the scruff of the neck and kick him out of the gate. In his mind, his common sense continued telling him to stop him from doing further things. And it was his right to protect his own property from any damages of a lunatic. Ravages means damages, and lunatic means mad person. So it was his right to stop him and prevent the machine from the damages of a mad person. So you take him by the scruff of the neck. His conscience whispered to him, hold him or grab him by the scruff of the neck and kick him out of the gate. But I am weak when it comes to hurting other people's feelings, and I let him muddle on. But the author was a very good person who didn't like to hurt anyone's feelings. So he didn't want to hurt the feeling of this man. So he let him to muddle on. Muddle on means to mix up things. He gave up looking for the rest of the screws. He said screws had a knack of turning up when you least expected them, and that now he would see to the chain. He tightened it till it would not move. Next he loosened it until it was twice as loose as it was before. Then he said we had better think about getting the front wheel back into its place again. So now they have lost the screws of the gear case also, no? So he commented that screws always have a way of appearing in front of us when it is least expected. When you search it, you won't find it, but it will rise up when it is least expected. And he said that now he would see to the chain. He did everything that he could, all mess he did with the chain as well. He tightened it till it would not move. Then next he loosened it as twice as loose as it was before. Then he loosened it until it was twice as loose as it was before. Then after all this, he said, let them fix the front wheel back in its right place. I held the fork open and he worried with the wheel. At the end of 10 minutes, I suggested he should hold the fork and that I should handle the wheel, and we changed places. Now the author held the fork of the bicycle where the wheel was to be placed and opened for the man. The man tried to fix the wheel, but he couldn't. Later, the author suggested the man to hold the fork and fix the wheel, and then they switched the places. At length, we did get the thing into position, and the moment it was in position, he burst out laughing. I said, "What's the joke?" He said, "Well, I am an ass." It was the first thing he had said that made me respect him. I asked him what had led him to the discovery. Now, finally, they were able to fix things in right position. But immediately, he saw the man burst out laughing. So the author didn't understand anything. He curiously asked, "What's the joke?" The man replies that he was an idiot. Hearing this, for the first time, the author felt great respect for the man. Because not everyone would humiliate themselves by calling themselves as an idiot, isn't it? So the author appreciated the man's honesty and modesty. He said, "We have forgotten the balls. I looked for my hat. It was lying topsy-turvy in the middle of the path." He was of a cheerful disposition. He said, "Well, we must put back all we can find and trust to Providence." Now, when the author asked about the reason why he was laughing so much, he replied that they had forgotten the balls. Where was these or ball bearings kept? It was inside his hat, right? In the beginning, we read that the author placed all these ball bearings in the hat, and he himself admitted that it was not a sensible thing to do, right? So now the author searched for his hat, and it was lying topsy-turvy. Topsy-turvy means upside down in the middle of the path. Even though the man had forgotten the balls, he looked very cheerful. He was in a very cheerful disposition and advised the author to put back all the balls wherever they can and leave it to God. Let God help us to get it done, or let's see what would happen. That's what he said.